could talk about games played by Ryan and Mike. A modern, a retro video game show. Yes, we talk about games and sometimes other stuff like Star Trek. It's a blast, our gaming podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk About Games. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike. Today we're going to be talking about Nova Islands and No Man's Sky later in this episode. So I don't know anything about Nova Islands, what it is. Nothing do I know. What is this game?
So, if you've ever played a game like Forager...
No,
you haven't. Okay, so Nova Islands, it's interesting because it has a lot in common with No Man's Sky in a way.
Okay.
But it's very different graphically. So this is a top-down 2D looking game where you start on a hexagonal island.
Okay. Like a 16-bit sort of?
Yeah, it's got like pixelated graphics.
Right.
There's 3D stuff going on, but it's got pixelated graphics. And you start on a hexagonal island.
Okay.
And there's just a bunch of trees and rocks on it. And you have a resource collector that allows you to break down the trees and rocks.
Okay.
And start figuring out how to build things. And as you go through the game, you start with just the one hexagonal island. It doesn't have all the resources. Because this game is not randomly generated. It's not procedural. This game actually is like self-contained where the islands are always the same.
Okay, it's always the same thing.
Right? So you start on an island that has iron, stone, wood, a pig, and water plants. And the first thing you notice is that your oxygen is going down.
Okay.
This isn't a game where there's like a lot of enemies trying to kill you.
I can see how it's like No Man's Sky with the oxygen going down.
Your oxygen's going down and you're like, Well, if I hit these plants, I could start collecting water. And you're like, but this water, water's H2O, but my oxygen's still not going up. What do I do? So then you start breaking down the stone and you find out that you could build something called an oxygenator.
Okay.
And the oxygenator takes water and it turns it into oxygen. And early on, like when you saw me playing, I could run around all over the map.
Right. You were later in the game.
I was almost done. I had everything unlocked. I played this game a long time. But in this game, you're just trying to find out, like, how do I take what I have and get to the next level in technology?
Is it like item management?
Yeah. So there's a lot of item management, but then you also can do automation. Like, you remember we played games like Satisfactory or Factorio where you're like building a factory. It's less
like Valheim,
where you're trying to automate.
You're putting
things.
like materials into things so other things get made.
So, for instance, you get 2 copper bars and 2 iron bars, and you can make steel.
Okay.
Right?
You smelt them.
You smelt them in the smelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're smelting. It's definitely in the genre of smelting games.
Okay.
But what's cool is, this game's got cute graphics. And a lot of these games, they want you to like spend your whole life doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 100 hours in.
Oh my God, yeah.
In about 10 hours, I was able to do most of the things that you could do.
It's nice when games have an end.
Yeah. So you will get to the end of the tech tree. This game's not multiplayer. You don't need to have a bunch of friends. It has some cool little side quests. You could check out the different... You use materials to unlock other islands.
Do you think that feeling is a generational thing? Because with our generation, most of the games we'd play were beatable fairly quickly, where today, kids are growing up with stuff like Minecraft and Roblox and stuff, which tend to be like sandbox where it can go on forever.
Well, it's not just kids games. Like right now, like look at the popular games. You're right. There's Roblox. Roblox is an infinite system where you play games within the game.
Right.
Right? Minecraft. It's this infinite system. There's a million mods. There's all of that. Even people who play competitive games like Call of Duty or Overwatch, to get really good at those, you need to be dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I played Ark, which is a resource collecting game. I'm like taming this dinosaur and it's taking hours. That has to be the only game that you play.
Right.
I think the turning point was MMOs like World of Warcraft.
Did all this like building, like games like this Nova Islands and all these games that we're playing now, where you're chopping down a tree and then that leads to the next thing you do and the next thing you do. Did that really kind of all start, you think, with Minecraft?
I definitely think that it started with Minecraft, but this game, if I had to talk about influencers on this game,
Yeah.
it's definitely Forager. It's definitely Stardew Valley.
Oh, Stardew Valley. Okay.
Right? Because it has like the collection room where it's like, oh, did you find 5 rocks? Did you make 5 iron bars? Like it has like that big collection aspect, which is clearly right out of Stardew Valley.
Okay.
I like that the game introduces clear challenges. Like a game like Valheim even or Ark. Ark is just kind of like figure it out.
Mm.
In this game, like it's very much about goal setting. Like, oh, build the thing that lets you get steel.
They tell you what the next task is. Okay.
They give you, and you can make it appear on the side of the screen.
Yeah.
Like you could say track that, and then it shows up on the side. Oh, I need this many.
List
of
of
this.
shit that you got to do.
Right? But what's cool about it is you have like these like all the different disciplines you need to use to get the more advanced stuff. Like you need to do farming, you need to do ranching, you need to do mining, right? You need to upgrade your character because you need to be able to breathe longer away from the base. You're like doing all of these things, and it has a lot of character because once you get the radar, the game changes because prior to the radar, you're just on your one island.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is kind of cool, but where do I find the next thing? Then the radar goes and the map zooms out. And there's all these other islands that are around your island. And then you're not just thinking about...
Oh, at first you think it's just the one island?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it zooms out.
And you're like, oh, shit, there's more.
Oh, there's more. And it's like, oh, this one's desert. This one's swamp. And there's a boss that you actually fight.
These are the different biomes.
The different biomes, right? But you know how, like, in other of these games, like, you got to, like, run all the way over there, and it takes forever. In this, the islands are right next to each other.
They're small.
So you just hop
right
over.
That's funny.
Right? But the hop is good for, like, fighting enemies, too. You know, the jetpack.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ryan has showed me a little bit of this, and it's not just, building, little factory things and like putting things together. There's also combat in this.
Yeah.
So tell me about the combat.
So the combat is as you start discovering the islands near yours. You find an island where there's a person who will give you character upgrades. And all the character upgrade people live on the island in the top left next to your island. And you go over to the character upgrade people, and they're like, oh, get me these materials, and I'll give you more oxygen or this or that. Eventually, it comes up, get me more materials, and I'll get you a laser blaster.
Okay.
And you get the laser blaster, and then, the pigs that have been in your island, your main island, will never attack you.
If you have the laser blaster?
No, they just attack the trees. On the first island, there is a creature. It's a pig. It'll eat trees, and then if it eats apples, it poops, and then that could be used as fertilizer.
Okay.
Right? So he's never a threat to you. But then you jump over to the first island in the top right that you unlock, and there's bees there. And if you take their honey, they attack you. But you really have no way to fight them.
Fight off the bees.
Other than...
Can you jump in the water or something?
Other than sucking them into capsules like Pokemon.
Okay.
But that takes a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not really a weapon. It's like a harvesting.
Is this tougher when you're starting out because you have less shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you get further, it's like kind of like lightens up.
So you're like, oh, maybe I need to fight off those bees. So now I have the gun. Once you get the gun, you can actually fight them.
Okay.
But when you fight them and kill them, then you can harvest the bones. Then you can harvest these other things.
How'd you like get the gun in the first place?
From the guy, the person.
Or somebody just gives you one?
Teaches you about it.
Teaches you. Okay.
And then you build it.
Okay.
Or you give them the materials and they build it. But then you uncover the swamp. And it's funny, I'm thinking about the swamp in Valheim.
Valheim and all that.
You uncover the swamp, and when you uncover the swamp, there's a hole in the middle.
Okay.
And the other person you unlock tells you, they say, hey, I'm just going to tell you what's up. Like, literally, that's what they say.
Yeah.
The hole in the middle has a big beast in it. And you can give him a blood flower. And if you give them the blood flower, they'll just be happy.
Okay.
And you'll conquer it. But if you don't, you're gonna have to fight it.
You fight it. Okay.
So you go in there.
Did you fight it?
I fought it.
Okay.
So you go in there.
Can you do both, or you have to choose one or the other?
You could do it over and over and over.
You can
again.
do it over and over. Okay.
So you go in there and you're like, Now it's like a bullet hell. Like it's dropping. Like when you saw me do it, I was killing it so
It's like
fast.
a Enter the Gungeon type of thing.
Yeah. And so I've been playing this little resource game, and now there's like bullets going everywhere, and it's insane.
So I have a question about this. So this is like a boss fight,
Yeah.
and now it's like bullet hell type of thing. But also, when you're on like the overworld map, are there ever enemies there?
Yeah, like the bees. If you make
Like the bees,
but if you make them angry, they'll fight you.
Okay.
Like the crabs don't like when you take their rocks.
Okay. So there are little like
Yeah.
enemies. Okay.
But you start getting these drones that help you automate.
So you don't have to worry about it.
And one of the drones is a combat drone.
Mm-hmm.
And the combat drone can protect your drones. So you're on this one island. Now over there, those drones may be harvesting rock, making the crabs mad. Right?
So there's shit going on. Like
Yeah.
Over here.
So you may have to like raise them from the dead. Because if you use your harvester on your drones, it gives them their health back.
Okay.
So you may have to like heal them every so often, but you might get sick of doing that. So it's like, oh, now I'm going to put one of these hunter drones over there to kill the crabs.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, now I might need the crabs because the crabs eat rocks and make gold, and I'm making electronics.
It's funny, you're talking about this game. At the time, you got an early copy of it.
Yeah.
So people watching are probably like, what is this game?
Right,
You
yeah.
haven't played it. But so what was the game you mentioned earlier that this is like?
Forager.
See, I haven't played Forager, so I
Yeah.
guess people would know Forager.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I just like it because, like, I played this game for, like, 10 or 12 hours, and I got all the tech. I did all the stuff. It's this charming little game. I was like, and I played this game, like, when you play these kind of games, like, the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
Right? Because you played it all night.
I know all about that.
Right?
Mhm.
Because it's like, you, like, obsess. You're like, oh, I got to get the next resource. How do I do it? Right? Moving it all around. It's really cool.
So there's an addicting element to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not really like high pressure,
Yeah.
but it's like you make progress at this like really pleasing rate.
Yeah.
Like some games, like this is how I got with Satisfactory. It got to the point where it's like, oh, I'm going to have to build 300 buildings.
They get overwhelming, and it's like it's
And,
taking
like,
too much of your time out of your
It's
life.
taking too much time. Like I would love to see like the nuclear power in that and the flying drones and trains and all this stuff, but it's like
See, again, like we've talked about this before, but like, other than playing the video games, Ryan's got a lot of stuff going on. He's running a whole business, and like I like to, for one thing, we're doing this show, so I always need another topic to come back to. And I'm, regardless of that, even when I'm just live streaming, I like to pop the different games anyway. Long time ago, I did a stream of I beat Dark Souls on stream.
Yeah.
Because I love Dark Souls. So I went through all of Dark Souls, and I liked it so much, I was going to do like New Game Plus on stream, but that was already like 10 streams or something. Now
Right.
I'm on like stream like 11 or whatever it was. And I'm like, I'm going to do new Game Plus, pick a new character. Now I'm going to be a pyromancer, and I'm going to go through, and I did a couple streams like that. And I started to notice people are like, yo, like, we get it. Dark Souls. It's cool, but like,
Yeah.
remember when you used to play like,
you're not a Dark Souls channel.
you're not a Dark Souls channel, Mike. And I was like, all right, I forgot. I'll play something else. And
Yeah.
then I got off the Dark Souls.
Right.
But the point I'm making is sometimes, you'll bring a game for the show, and a lot of times you're bringing more modern games, and more modern games tend to be longer.
Yeah.
How many of these games have we done for the show? We shot the episode and you played a lot of it, and you might have loved the game, but then you had to move on because you can't play the game.
Totally.
Some games like on the show?
Satisfactory. I played 40 hours. I played Satisfactory an unhealthy amount for this show. I'm like, dude, I got to do other things.
Right.
I got to put this down.
Yeah.
Nova Island, I played it 12 hours. I got to do all the stuff. Now, there's still some stuff
to do, but you did most of it.
But I did most of it. Right. I got to the end of the tech tree. You know, it's cool. And, you know, it's got fun little skins, and it's got, you know, everything like bounces, and it's like happily animated.
But where I wanted to go with that is there are people that will that, you know, maybe aren't like live streaming every day like I do, or like, you know, doing all the stuff that we do. And we're always like moving on to the next game. But there are a lot of people that a giant game will come out, and that'll be their year.
Yeah.
It's just that. And they're going to play the game 1,000 hours, and maybe they're playing like one other game, but it's like that's their fucking game, and they just keep coming back to the same game, and they become really good at it. They master it, and they do everything in it. So I wanted to like let the audience know that, like, you know, I get that aspect of it too, just like really focusing on one game. If we had infinite time, I would love, like, if every day was 100 hours long or whatever, if I somehow had the time to do it, I wish I could play, like, all the way through these, like, really long games that, you know, require 1,000 hours. But, like, realistically, even though I stream, you know, every other day or something, there's, like, just not the time to do a lot of those big games like that. And it's kind of unfortunate because I'd like to be able to do that. Like, I want to play Dark Souls 3.
Right.
And I'd love to do that for the show. But for me to go all the way through Dark Souls 3, it's going to, like, that'd be kind of tough to do.
Here's the box quote for Behemoth, who's the people who made this game. Nova Island is the resource collection game for people who have lives.
That's perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you can get to the end.
Right.
Right? And, you know, game's not out yet. They have big plans. I think, like...
That's funny. They knew that. And that's, like, in their slogan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no, that's the slogan. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you said that was their actual slogan.
That's not their actual slogan.
Okay,
I'm saying that that's my box quote.
That's why I laughed. I thought that was their real quote. Okay.
No, that's my box quote for it. I don't think they're going to use it, but...
I mean, honestly, that's not bad, because I think, like, there's a lot of people that probably would like to play this stuff, but are like, yo, I got a job, or I got to do this. I got school. You know, I don't have the time to put 500 hours in.
But I saw this game, and I really like doing the resource games. Remember, I played Factory Town. Now, Factory Town is like, it becomes a slog as it gets bigger. You know, I never got to Mage Towers and all the craziness, right? Because I'm like, oh, I got to redesign my transportation network again. It got to be much.
Oh, you had to redesign shit.
Yeah.
Like doing stuff over.
Yeah, because you only had so many of the little people.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, now I got to do all this stuff. In this game will let you not fully automate things. Like with the titanium, I never built the base up there. I would just go up there with my guy and harvest it and put it in the smelters and bring it back.
Yeah.
And that was enough. And I think that's the cool thing about this game, because you have a limited amount of automation. Every island can only
helps.
Every island can only have 5 drones. You know, whereas there's some games where you have like 100 drones.
Or like infinite or something.
Or like the drones or it's conveyor belts or whatever. In this, you're only getting 5 drones per island.
So it only goes so far. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the oxygen mechanic, I thought it was going to be oppressive, but it really wasn't too bad. The oxygen mechanic in your game is a little more aggressive than in this one. It's not bad, but
yeah. Did you want to move over and talk about that?
So let's talk about No Man's Sky, because I played a ton of that game.
Okay, I bet you've played more No Man's Sky than I have. So I only started playing No Man's Sky this week.
Yeah.
And I had never played it. So first thing I guess I should say is I'm the type of person who plays things when they want to play it, not because a game is hyped.
Yep.
Or like a lot of people feel like they have to play games. This week, the game that's going on with is Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And everybody is like, oh, Elden Ring. And then a month from now, it'll be some other fucking game. It'll be whatever. It'll be something else. And that's what happens is the game comes out and everybody feels like this pressure, like they have to play the game immediately when it comes out. And I think that comes down to marketing because they're trying to sell the game and get it to be popular. They want that initial like big press and the burst, and then they put their ads all over the place. Like all the blogs are talking about it, and you go on Twitter and it's like the top thing because they paid probably to have it be the top thing. And it's like, and it makes everybody feel like, oh, I got to be playing it or I'll be out of the loop. It makes you almost feel guilty because you're not playing it. And I don't subscribe to that idea. I want to play Elden Ring. I think it looks cool and I want to try it, but I'm going to play it in my own goddamn good time when I feel like it. Mm-hmm. Same thing. I still haven't played Metroid Dread.
Right.
But I will someday.
Yeah, and that was the hotness for a minute.
And there you go. I just made my point, right?
Yeah.
So that was the same thing a couple months ago. It's like Metroid Dread, got to play it immediately. It's like I'll play it sometime eventually when I want to. Yeah. So anyway, so the reason I bring that discussion up is because No Man's Sky was a huge deal. And originally, from what I know, No Man's Sky, it had a sort of controversial, hot release because I guess the game at the time when it was launched wasn't what people thought it was going to be, wasn't all it was cracked up to be. But
it didn't have the base building. It didn't have the ground vehicles. It didn't have so much.
Right.
And they hyped up what it was going to be. It didn't have like the multiplayer.
Right. So, but that was like 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now we're in 2022 and they've had like 6 years or something to work on the game. And I believe, from what I've heard and what I've seen, it's a different game than it was then.
Yeah.
So let's get over the release and what happened back then. And I want to talk about what the game is like now.
Definitely.
So the other thing people will say about this game is they'll say, oh yeah, the game where you shoot rocks and shoot trees and you collect, whatever. That is true to an extent.
Yeah.
Like that is what you're doing, especially in the beginning when you start the game, is, you're going around and you're shooting rocks to get like ferrite, to build one thing, to build the next thing. Kind of like the game you just talked about. You get one element to make another element, to make another element. You talked about that having an oxygen refiner. This game has an oxygen refiner, all that kind of stuff. But there is a lot of, management like that. It's a similar game to like Valheim or I'm assuming Minecraft, where you can build houses and build bases and do that kind of stuff. But where I think this game is really interesting for me is the fact that it's a space game. And I had been playing some Star Trek games because I loved the idea of space and space exploration and whatnot. So I was like, I want to play a good Star Trek game. So I was playing Star Trek Legacy, and it's like it wasn't what I wanted it to be. No Man's Sky is like, I wish No Man's Sky got some licenses. I wish they got like a license, like the Star Trek license, and I wish it got like a Transformers license, because dude, you fly around in this ship, and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a skin where you could be like Starscream or something like that, or like there's things in the game that I guess might look a little bit like Star Trek ships, but like really, if they got the Star Trek license and you could like fly around with the Enterprise D or something like that in No Man's Sky, like I think that'd be cool, because they did that with like Smite, like the Ninja Turtles are in Smite and stuff like that. So I think like that's somewhere they could go with it. That could be cool.
Do you believe that Transformers are in World of Warships?
Oh,
like it's a ship combat game.
Yeah.
So it's like Megatron's like standing on a ship.
Right.
Like it's the weirdest license.
Right. But I think that this game would be a cool license to do that with. But I mean, you could say that about so many games, like getting licenses and bringing them in and whatever.
So did you upgrade your ship to like different ships?
I'm getting there. So I'm going to tell you what happened. I got recognized in the game.
Really?
So when you're playing the game, once you get a little bit into it and get past like the beginning shit that you have to do, you get into space and you're flying around in your ship, and you can do this thing where you call upon the anomaly. And the anomaly is this big ship that looks either kind of like the Death Star or kind of like Unicron. It's this like this orb circle kind of ship, and it comes and you go inside of it, and what it basically is sort of the mall of space, and you go in, you can buy all this stuff that you need for the game, upgraded guns, upgraded ship things and all that. But when you go there, the other part of it is that's also where you'll encounter real players, because they're all going there to buy shit and whatever. And you can walk up to them and it'll say like their username and whatever and this and that. And mine is, Mike Matei Live, because that's my like stream channel. So I'm like walking around, I'm like buying things. I didn't even know at first that there was I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't know there were real people. I was clicking on them and it says like, join this player. And I'm like, I didn't know what the fuck it was because I had never seen it before.
Right.
And this guy, it says, whoever it was, so-and-so has traded with you this item. And they gave me something. And I was like, okay. And then a couple hours go by. I had no idea what happened because I'm learning the game. I'm new to it.
Right.
So I'm like on some other planet now. And I go into my inventory and I'm like, what is this thing that I have? And I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's like just like these nanotubes or whatever. But it was like this box of like nanotubes. And I've made nanotubes, but he gave me like this crazy nanotube thing. And then I went and I looked at how much I could sell it for, and I could sell it for like 4 million or something, which at the point of the game I'm in, that's a lot of money, or it's units in the game. So I go back to the little R2-D2 thing on the wall where you can sell shit.
Yeah.
When R2-D2 sticks the thing in the hole and whatever, that fucking thing.
The scomp link.
Okay, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. And in the last episode, we were talking about how I'm a dork. Well, So I look, and this guy, I think he probably knew who I was because he gave me like millions of dollars basically in the game. And I wanted to say, if you were that guy and you're seeing this, thank you, because I didn't even know what was happening at the time. Like I should have probably typed to him like, thanks for giving me that, but like I didn't even know what was happening. Anyway, so I got a lot of money because of that. But the other thing is, you can get a lot of money easily, because if you fly around into the asteroid belt, you can just like shoot asteroids and collect gold and whatever, silver and whatever stuff like that, and then fight these space pirates. And if you spend a little time grinding, I guess, doing that, you just go back to space station, sell the stuff. It's actually not hard at all to get units and money. It just takes a little time. Or you can be lucky like me and have somebody just hand you like millions of units or whatever. But so I have lots of money, but I haven't bought it yet because I'm waiting for a couple things to happen.
Okay.
So one of the things in this game is that there's like these big freighter ships.
Yes.
And
you want to buy a freighter.
Well, the first freighter you can get for free.
Yeah.
Because if you're flying around, there's these pirate ships, these bad, evil ships that you can fight, and they come out of wherever, and you fight them. But sometimes they'll come and they'll be like attacking these freighter ships. So if you save the freighter ships from the space pirates, the captain hails you and he's like, hey, come aboard the ship. I want to talk to you. Thank you. Like, so you go on the ship and you talk to the guy and he's like, would you, because you saved our lives, I want to offer you this ship. And then you look at this ship and then you see what kind of ship it is. And it's
you
like,
still have to pay him.
Not the first one.
Yeah.
At least at this point. They might have changed the game from what it used to be, but now the first one you can get it for free. So I'm being very careful because I'm looking at the class, because you can only do it the first time. So I'm looking at the class of ship and he's like, but this is like a D class, like the ship sucks. And I'm like, So I'm waiting. And I'm waiting until it happens and it's like an A class ship or something good. And then I'm going to take it. So I'm kind of like holding off on like getting the freighter. And also as far as the ship goes, I have like 4 million, but like I see these ships land in the space docks or the space stations, whatever they're called. And they're like awesome. And then I go up to the guy. I'm like, oh, I would like to trade you my ship. And it's like, okay, 10 million.
Right.
And I'm like I have a lot of money, but I don't have that much. So I'm like waiting because when I get a ship, I want it to be, not only do I want to have like more slots open for items, but I want to have a ship that looks cool too.
Right.
Because I want to fly around. Because
Yeah.
remember when Squadrons came out?
Yes.
I like the old Nintendo 64 Star Wars Rogue Squadron where you can see your ship.
Yeah.
Squadrons, I was excited for that game and I wanted to play it, and I did, and I tried it out. But Squadrons only has like the first-person view stuff.
Yeah, because it's primarily a VR game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't. That's just not what I wanted. What I really want is like a Rogue Squadron like remake. But with this game, with No Man's Sky, you can do the first person, or you can do the where you can see your ship, and I like to see the ship. And then eventually I'm going to get one of these. I'm going to spend the money. So I'm just holding off is the point. I'm holding off until I can get the really good shit that I want. So that's what I'm doing. But I kind of got like ahead of myself. And people say that this game is like boring, right? And that's the main criticism. Oh yeah, that game where you go around and you shoot the tree and then you get carbon for like 8 hours and whatever. And yeah, you do that, but here's the thing: like, there's really exciting shit that can happen in this game. There are Sentinels. And the Sentinels will be around bases and shit, and they come up to you and they'll go to scan you. And if you don't hop out of the way quick, and there's this thing that you can do that's cool, and you probably know this, where you hit like punch and then you do your jets, and you can like burst ahead so that you can move faster, basically.
Have you ever killed one of the mechs that come if you keep fighting them?
I did. So that's where I was just going to get to. So there is really exciting things. These like mech battles that happen. And so you start fucking around with these Sentinels, and then they're just like these little Sentinel drones that come, and you shoot them, and then a bigger one comes, and then another one comes, and another one comes, and you keep fighting them until the big motherfuckers come out, and it looks like Mech Warrior, the first episode we did of the show.
Yeah.
And at least this version of the show, right? And you're taking these guys down, but those giant mechs that come, you have to like shoot off certain parts of them. Like they have like these armor things on their legs or armor on their arms, and you got to like shoot at them. And like that shit's like really fun to do. But beyond like the cool combat that can happen, like I think that there is there's a part of the game that I enjoy even more than that. Like I said, I'm playing this game because I want to like explore the universe like freely. I'm playing that Star Trek Legacy game, and there's a planet.
Yeah.
And you go and you're in the Enterprise or whatever, a Romulan ship or whatever, and you go up to it and you get real close to it, and you can like bump into the planet, and the planet gets no bigger and stuff.
Right.
This game, like when you get near to a planet, the planet becomes like huge, fills the whole screen, and then like you literally go in like it would be in real life, and you like land on the planet, and you actually like go like the way it should be.
Right.
And it's cool because you actually like take off, and then you like leave the atmosphere. It's almost like it's fucking real.
Yeah.
It's like amazing. And then you can go, and yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt because you got to make like launch fuel and warp fuel. But the further you get in the game, like that stuff becomes less of a problem. The more you like you get more launch fuel, and you build the things that you're supposed to build, and you build like landing pads so it doesn't take money to take, it doesn't take launch fuel to take off every time and stuff like that. So the part of the game I like is you're flying around the universe, and you're like, you go to the galaxy map.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to go to that star. And somebody in the chat goes to me, they go, because they had been watching the stream, and I was streaming for like 5 or 6 hours, and they're like, have we seen just about everything there is in this game? And I'm like, because they didn't know about the game.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, hold up. And I bring up the galaxy map, and I'm like, see this star? You can go this star. You see this star? You can go this star. And I start moving the map, and it's like the entire fucking universe, and there's like a billion planets you can go to. I'm like, and they're like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, like you can. It's like really exploring. It's like really exploring the universe. It's really impressive.
Did you see? Did you get to the middle?
The middle of what?
The middle of the galaxy that you were in.
Like the stars? Oh, the galaxy? No.
So
you're probably way further. I mean,
so when you get to the middle, at least this is how it was when the game came out.
Okay.
When you get to the middle of the galaxy that you're in,
I haven't done that.
the anomaly comes, and you used to not be able to summon the anomaly.
You can summon it, yeah.
So you would get all the way to the middle of the galaxy. So it would be like a path from the outside edge all the way to the middle.
Yeah.
And you pass like millions of planets. Like, it's ridiculous. And then you go into that, and then it just warps you to a whole other galaxy.
Oh, wow.
So the galaxy you're in is just one of like more than one galaxy.
More than one galaxy.
Yeah.
So, and that like, and it's then I start thinking about like real like space travel and shit, and like because I watch like space videos and stuff like that, and so do you. And I'm like, so here, like in real space, like what happens is like the stars, the suns, basically will all just die out one day.
Yeah.
Eventually, everything is just gonna go dark. It's gonna go black. So if we want to like survive as a civilization, and like humanity wants to survive, we have to eventually learn to universe hop if there are indeed other universes, because you have to get to the next universe to live in that universe, and then when that universe dies, you got to get to the next one. So if we ever like want to like truly, because people talk about, oh, going to live forever. If you ever like truly were going to live forever, like you can't live here because all the stars will burn out. So
You would have to go to, first you'd be going to different solar systems.
right.
Then you'd be going to different galaxies. Then
You have to eventually go to different universes.
you'd have to go to different universes.
And then maybe there's multiverses. Like who knows?
And then the physics are different. Like, it's insane.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, but we're talking billions and billions of years. Like,
from
it's like
now,
ridiculous, right?
And people don't think about that because it's like, oh, I'm gonna be dead in 50 years or whatever. But I mean, as humanity, as people, like your children or your children's children, or
right.
That's what I mean.
And that's what this game's about.
right.
Because it's to show you, and No Man's Sky isn't even as big as the real universe.
No,
is.
of course not. Right.
But it's like, it's to illustrate the point, right? That's why it's called No Man's Sky, because it's so big that no one could ever possess all of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So here's what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm Mike Matei, and this is what happens. So, I'm playing the game, and I know a lot of you guys are gonna like watching the YouTube premiere right now, and you're like, "Yo, fuck No Man's Sky." It's like it has this like reputation, and a lot of new games. There's like this, and this is another conversation I want to have. Is like there's like this big divide of like I'll play like a new game, like I played Vampire Survivors, which is like a retro looking game, but it's new.
Yeah,
and some dude's like, "Yo, what's up with this fucking shit? When are you gonna play some real like 16-bit like you're an asshole if you're playing a new game?" There really is like a civil war that goes on between retro gamers and modern gamers.
Whereas there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, you're playing a pixel game,
right? There's
Why are you
that
playing
too.
a pixel game?" You
Right.
know, and you don't.
And it's like the people that only play like maybe Fortnite or something like that, or like some people like look down on like, oh, you're playing Atari, like fuck you, why would you even bother to do that? And then like there's that, then there's the people that play only like Sega Genesis and NES and stuff who are like, oh fuck No Man's Sky, why are you bothering playing that? It's like, I think we should live in a world where we can have both.
Yeah,
like why can't we have both? But. So anyway, I like to my favorite thing is that like exploring the universe, and you land on these different planets, and I like to go from planet to planet to planet, because you land on a planet and you never know what the planet's going to be. And that's the exciting thing to me, is I land on this planet and it's like, oh, there's these weird there was this one planet we went to and it was all bubbles. Everything's like bubbles everywhere. And then another planet I go to, and there's these like there's these creatures that are like rolling around on the ground that I've never seen before. Or I went to one planet and it was a dinosaur looking thing, but it had like a cobra head.
Right.
Like there's all these crazy animals and stuff, and the way the land is. I think I found a gas planet once, and there's like all these interesting things, and you never know what you're gonna find. So I like that part of it, but on top of it, so I'll get to the planet, and then when I get to the planet, you can name the planet.
Yeah.
So I start naming the planet. I say, okay, guys, what are we going to name the planet? And I say, all right, I'm going to name the planet Family Feud by Game Tech for NES, and that's the planet. And then I'm going around, I'm naming the planets all retro game names so that the people that are like, yo, I don't want to see this No Man's Sky shit, I'm like hooking them in. I'm like, wait, hang on though.
Yeah.
I know you only like NES, and like I like NES too. But so the next planet, we're gonna name it. What do you want to name it? And the guy's like, well, I don't like this, but maybe you should name it Simon's Quest. I'm like, okay, I'll name it Simon's Quest. And he's like, and then he's like,
You got him.
And then he's like, I'll stay. He's like, and then I'm going, okay, I'm gonna go to the next planet. And then he's like, all right, can you name the next one Space Invaders? I'm like, Space Invaders. You know? I got him.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? There's so many planets in this game that everybody can name them, and you know that's yours now.
That's yours. Oh, and then it's funny too because the even funnier thing is if another person happens to come and find that planet,
Yeah.
it will be named Family Feud by GameTech for NES, the planet.
Yeah, right.
And my main planet when I started, the first planet, I named it Charles Entertainment Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese's full name. Yeah. So I don't. I just
funny.
There's stupid stuff like that you can do in it, but it's like I think it's also an educational game, like a little bit, because it's like you're learning about carbon and all these different elements and stuff where. I remember being in school and hating that stuff because I was like, oh, I gotta memorize all this stuff. But when you're playing in a game and like you're on a planet and you're like, oh, I need the oxygen plant to survive.
Yeah.
See, like the O2, gotta go get that. And then the next element, oh, I need the uranium. Oh, I need this, I need that.
Because when the game starts, the ship's just on the planet and it's messed up.
Yeah.
And you got to repair the ship.
In the beginning, yeah.
It's kind of cool. So I played this game a lot when it came out.
Yeah.
When it didn't have all the stuff. And I played it a lot about a year ago.
Yeah.
So two very different experiences. Although, I really enjoyed playing it when it came out. And, when it came out, really, it was just the race to the middle. But, all the procedural generation was there. And here's the problem with this game. There's the mini game of learning the languages of all the different aliens.
There's ways to speed that up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you travel through a different alien space, you find their artifacts that unlock letters. So you can learn their languages and, their reputations and all that. I'm disappointed that there were so few aliens. We have this limitless place and the alien species.
There's like 6 of them or something.
There's like 6 alien species. I think that the procedural generation, while it's cool that all the creatures look slightly different, it's like they're in general families of what they can look like.
There's more stuff now than there used to be years ago, though.
Yeah.
Like there's this thing that you can do where I'm not going to know the exact name of it, but there's like this sort of chart thing that you can get, and it says, this will now appear somewhere, and then you're flying around with your ship in the system, and all of a sudden this like remember Encounter at Farpoint?
Yeah.
Those things at the end, those like thing, like you can see like things like that. There's all these like space entities and shit now.
That's neat.
And they're continually like working on the game and adding things to it. And I just heard they came out with like a new, I guess, biome in Valheim as well. But the fact that they're like still like adding things and putting things into the game, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Like there should be more alien races, but my thing is like maybe they'll add more because they're always they just did a big update for No Man's Sky, so they are still like putting stuff in.
It just felt like, by the time I was at my 100th planet, oh, I saw the purple planet, the green planet. Oh, I saw the one that has the dinosaurs on it, the one where it has aggressive things, the ones where it has radiation. Like, I started going to the end, and then, when the second time I played it, when the entity was there and you could just buy things and it made everything feel smaller. When you first started playing the game, you were like, I'm on this star and I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's no fast travel. I can't move my ship. Like if you walked away from your ship when the game first came out, you were screwed because the ship was.
Oh, really? Because now you can. It takes launch fuel, so you got to make sure it's like in your ship. But you can just hit down on the D-pad. You select your ship, and then it comes over to you.
Yeah.
So
they couldn't do that before.
They've made a lot of like conveniences.
And I used to hate if you ran out of radioactives, and the part of the planet you're on just doesn't have them. like, oh, now I got to go walk and find radioactives.
Yeah, it's not as bad anymore. They fixed a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, something that I definitely think they should do is, so when you go to a planet and there's a lot of things they could do to like make the game better still, but so you go to a planet for the first time, it's a new planet, you scan it, and it says like this planet has like sodium and dioxide and a couple things. But then when you like land, and then it also says like frost or something, and then you land on the planet and it's like a whole ice planet. I think one of the big things they need to do is make the planets have multiple biomes.
Right.
Because if you go to a planet and the entire planet is frost, it's like, I mean, maybe they're having a hard time gameplay wise figuring out how to like solve that problem, because that's a big update to give the planets all multiple biomes.
I mean, the other thing is like you land on a planet that's like hostile and you don't have the right shields or you don't have the right things. It's like, oh, well, I better have the fuel to get to somewhere that does.
You got to be prepared. It's a game where you definitely want to be prepared before you go anywhere. I don't have a problem with that though, because it's like, I mean, that's like realistic. Like you should be prepared before you go into more hostile territory or something like that. Or there's definitely improvements that they could make to the game. I'm not saying that there's not, but the fact that they're still updating it years later is like, you know, hopefully they'll just keep updating it and making it better and better. But I think the game has probably come a long way from where
it absolutely has.
Where it was when it launched.
I love the ground vehicles. I love the base building.
Yeah.
The freighter stuff is cool. A lot of things are greatly improved. I think this is a very good game. I think that it is competing with a lot of new games that are doing like the resource collection thing, like Astroneer and games like that.
Yeah.
That, you know, kind of looked at No Man's Sky, which was like the big game that everybody was looking at.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can I do this better?
Right.
And No Man's Sky, the one thing it has going for it is there is no game that's bigger.
Oh, it's just
I
I can't think of a bigger game.
It's gigantic. You'll never see 1% of it.
Yeah.
That's how big it is.
I mean, what I'd like to see them do, like, I feel like I've been like fighting like the mechs and the Sentinels and stuff. Like, I think there needs to be more things to fight. Like, I think you need to get to a planet and like, I mean, maybe there is, and I haven't seen it yet. I don't know, but like, what if you got to a planet and like there was like an end boss type of thing from like R-Type?
Yeah.
Like, think of like Gradius 3 and like those type of games. I think they should look at that kind of stuff, because you have these space battles with like these pirate ships, but when do I get the space battle with like a boss kind of thing? They need to have that kind of shit.
That would be cool. It's like, why am I collecting all these resources? Why am I going all these places? I didn't see what the point was for why I was doing it other than just to do it.
I mean, like I said, like the thing I like about it is like the feeling of like exploring the universe and whatever. And to a point, like that's almost like enough, because like I can't think of a game where it's more like you're exploring the universe than this game.
Yeah.
And that's something I really have wanted out of games. So it's already doing that. But man, put some like cooler boss fights on the planet's surfaces and in space. That'd be a thing. Besides the mechs and Sentinels, like give us like organic like things and like other, they have all these like weird little aliens and stuff, but like just make more of them and make other ones that we can fight.
Yeah.
I think that would help, because a big thing is like people say like, oh, the game's like, you know, it's boring because all you're doing is like shooting stuff and whatever. But if people started seeing like, oh, wait a second, there's all these crazy boss fight things that can happen, they'd be like, oh, maybe there is more into this. But it needs more than the mech warrior things. Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Sentinels, like, I feel like there should be more to it. Like, I didn't really unlock, like, why they're there or what that's all about.
I mean, maybe, like, I played all through fucking Valheim. I don't know what that game is about, and I don't really care. Like, I don't have to know the reasoning behind it. I'm just saying, like, there needs to be more different, like, variety in it, you know, gameplay wise for me.
I always felt when I first played it, I always felt like I didn't have enough slots.
Yeah.
But now that there's bases and freighters and things, you can collect a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of different ways to get the slots. When you first start playing this game, and if anybody sees this game or looks at it and they try it and they're like, oh, this looks like a cool game. You should know in the beginning it's pretty tough. Like there's normal mode and there's survival. I'm playing survival mode because I want to like a little bit more of a challenge. But when you're first playing, it might be good to like do the normal stuff just so that you can like learn. Because if you're continually just like dying and then you're like losing all your progress, especially with this because it's like it takes time. I could see that being like pretty frustrating.
Oh, definitely.
Especially like, you know, you're on these planets, and what happens when you first start playing is like, oh, they put you on this planet and it's hot. So your guy is like, you know, it's heat and he's going to like die of heat exhaustion, or it's freezing or whatever they put you, or it's toxic or something. And then like you have to really quickly try to get, you know, build your scanner thing. And then I'm just talking about when the game starts and it's like, and then you're dead, and then you lost all your progress, and you're like, you got to do it again, and it's just like,
and you haven't even gotten off the planet.
You haven't even flown the ship yet, and then people might turn it off at that point. So maybe start on the easy mode so that you just know what you're doing.
Yeah,
you know, and then come back, and then after you've played it for a few hours, this is my recommendation if you're trying it for the first time. Do the easiest normal mode that you can. Just learn the game a little bit, and once you know what the game is, and you're like, you know the controls, and you know what you're doing, then go back later and put it on survival, because then you won't have as much of a hard time.
Yeah, you know what I found with this game is there's a lot to learn, and it's a huge time sink.
It is.
Like you could just be going all over for hours.
Yeah.
But you know, for what it is, this game is kind of groundbreaking.
I think so.
It's neat, and you know, this is one of the few stories of a game that the developers and the publishers stuck to.
Right.
You know, because you know, when it first came out, it got all that bad press, but now it's known as like this major turnaround story.
Right.
Which I think is pretty amazing.
I think that's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are probably surprised that I'm, you know, bringing No Man's Sky to the show, but like I've said, I like modern games and I like retro games. There are bad modern games and there's good modern games. There's bad retro games, as we know, and there's great retro games. I think we should live in a world where it's okay to play all games and try them out. Like, it shouldn't be this like big argument. Oh, how dare you play the modern game, or how dare you play the retro game? It's like, let's not be like that. Or like the stupid Super Nintendo versus Genesis conversation. Have both. Why can't we have both?
Play the. You know, we can all go to Cool ROMs together, right? When it comes to the Super Nintendo and the Genesis, I think you can figure it out, right?
Cool ROMs.
Cool ROMs. Welcome back from continuity land. I went and got these in the other room. These are the awesome thumbnail / title cards made by Xander from Xander Flicks. You can check out his YouTube channel.
Enter the Gungeon.
This one's Enter the Gungeon and the Ascent.
We had Asteroids and Kirby. And then what was that one?
And this one is Bowser's Fury and ActRaiser Renaissance.
Yeah. So those are available on Patreon. How does it work?
So we have 3 Patreon tiers. We have our $2 tier, which gives you all of our update posts. You get to know what the games we did are early. You get to have access to high-res wallpapers of all of these. You get just all of our update posts. We have our $5 tier where every week we do a second episode that's only available to our $5 patrons. And this is like totally optional. Like, we're not expecting anybody to have to do this, but we do these 11x17 title card poster versions.
Because people will be like, hey, you're charging $30. Fuck you, you piece of shit. Right. But it's like, you don't have to. It's just, if you would like to help support the show, if you like the show, and if you like the art, because I think Xander does a really nice job on this art, and he gets paid for this too. You know, you can help support the show in that way. And I want to say something. We really do sign the things, because I would always worried about. I'd be a kid. I used to have those things. We had like the Star Trek Voyager, and it's like signed. And I'd have like the Star Trek signatures, and I'd be like, I'm like, did William Shatner really sit there and sign that? Like, I wonder. And I think with that stuff, like, it's like, you know that they probably did, but you you'd go to the conventions and you see this pile and be like, did Terry Farrell really sign that,
Right.
or not, or whatever. We really sit and sign them all, so you get a real signature.
Yeah, so the $30 helps, pay for the show. Xander obviously, does this awesome artwork. He gets some bucks, and the shipping to get it to the people in the U.S. for these.
And also, to be fair, we do have an editor that edits this show. It has to be edited, and he has to be paid and whatnot. So, this show does cost a little bit of money to make. So, by helping, just watch the videos on YouTube, that helps. But also having the Patreon helps so that we're able to do this show.
Yeah,
because right now we're paying for this show out of our own pockets to get it done, quite frankly.
And I just want to say, thanks to everyone who became a patron. With this last episode, we just crossed 100 patrons. So thank you so much for being a part of the Patreon.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was super nice of you guys, and I say the same thing to the people that subscribe to me on Twitch. It's sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm playing Mario 2 or something.
Right.
And I'm amazed that people are nice enough to subscribe. Because that's the dream, right? It's you're a kid and you're like, boy, wouldn't it be cool to get paid to play video games?
Right.
Or whatever. And it's it means so much because I'm able to do this thing that I love, and how lucky am I to be able to do that? And, so, it's the whole thing is really a dream come true to be able to do this show and to be able to stream and stuff like that. But we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. We could not do this.
Right.
So I appreciate that you guys like the show. And like I said, you don't have to do any of this, but it does help us be able to do the show, if you subscribe to the Patreon or whatever, but don't feel pressured or whatever to do it, just if you want to.
Just have to let you know.
Yeah, just letting you know.
But yeah, I mean, the show's been awesome to make, and, I appreciate everyone here. And if you're driving in the car and you don't have time for the YouTube one, we do have an audio-only version that's available wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. And that's it. We will see you guys next time. I always say, I watch the premieres, because we always premiere these. And then I always say to you guys, be sure to leave a comment. Because sometimes it's I'm going to tell you something. Here's a little behind the scenes for you. So at the time that we recorded this right now, the podcast literally just aired. So, I mean, we don't always do it that way, but that happened tonight.
Right.
So I couldn't be in the premiere much tonight. I was in there for 1 minute.
Right.
And so tonight, for example, I'm going to go back later and I'm going to look at the comments because I wasn't able to be in the premiere. So it's if you guys leave a comment afterwards, because here's the deal. There's this fucking YouTube algorithm shit. And if people don't comment on the videos, if they're not interaction, likes and views and whatever, if people aren't watching the video, YouTube tanks that shit and puts it in the fucking garbage.
Right.
So that's why we say, hey, if you leave a comment, it helps, because then YouTube's oh, people are watching the video. Well, we're gonna push this out to a couple more people. It's bullshit. I don't think it should work that way. I mean, I was on YouTube in 2006 and the shit didn't work that way back then. Right. And I don't like it, but that's the way it is. And I hate having to sit here and be oh, could you guys comment on the video, whatever. But this is 2022 and everything sucks. So if you could comment on the fucking video, that'd be great.
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No,
Tell me what part am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And that's why, that's why every single person that's on YouTube has to come out like a trained monkey and
I
say
hate it. It's stupid.
It's not the best.
It's not the best.
But
that's why I stream. I mean, it's better. Sorry. It is.
But anyway, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys next week.
Have a good one.
I think Capcom does a great job when they're adding collaboration characters.
I've never been able to extend this way.
Oh god, I gotta get the helmet on. Oh god.
Wait a minute, our guy's a bad guy the whole time.
I just think it's crazy that I'm better at video games now than when I was 16.
That is how you fix all the problems with all these games.
I feel like toy distribution is so different than it used to be. They resculpted over the chest. They gave him a flak jacket over it.
I laugh when I see Among Us, but I'm not having fun inside. It's a reflex.
No, you took my joke!